Are your sales down? We've all heard about the wedding gap and a retraction in the wedding industry. In this episode of the podcast, I want to give you a very easy strategy to diagnose why your sales might be down and how you can solve this problem. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the Power and Purpose podcast. It's me, your host, Candice. And today we're talking about sales and the not so fun topic of what to do when your sales are down and how to diagnose what's going on in your business that is contributing to a retraction in sales. I have a really simple method, a really simple strategy for you today that I actually use when I'm assessing somebody I'm coaching and we're talking about sales. We're trying to figure out what the heck's going on. This is what we do together to start assessing and getting our bearings as to what might be going on in their business that's contributing to a loss in sales. Now, before we get into this technique, I first want to just talk about the great wedding gap or whatever the hell they're calling it. Honestly, I don't know. My overall thoughts about it and just some data and statistics I'd like to share with you from wedding reports. So I have some data to share. We have seen a retraction in the industry across the board, across all industries. I've seen this with all different types of clients, and it is definitely unnerving for so many businesses who expected to have a very big 2023. There are lots of speculative reasons why the wedding industry is contracting or has contracted. I don't think any of us business coaches know the answer. We can speculate. We're not economists. We don't truly know the reason. I would say that my hunch is that it's a multitude of things, a sort of perfect storm. Inflation, rising costs of living, maybe not as many people getting engaged, therefore getting married, people desiring to wait. They went to a lot of weddings. There's a bit of fatigue. I think it's just a bit of a swirling perfect storm. And also, to be fair, I've been around long enough to know that there are good years and bad years. There are years where you're like, what the fuck? Where is everybody? And then there are years where you're like, leave me the hell alone. I don't have any room on my calendar. I've been around long enough to know that. And so there are dips in the market, then there are great rises in the marketplace. I tell you this so that you don't freak out. And I tell you this because business is about consistency and the long haul. These little blips, and I know it may not feel little because your sales may be really down, but these little blips don't have to make or break you. What I would say is stay the course and realize that this is what happens in business. This is what happens in markets. We have ups, we have downs. And when there's a down, you are usually always looking at an upside. And I do think the upside is coming soon. I've heard and I've spoken to some business friends in different aspects of the industry, more at the forefront. So at the venue side, at the bridal store side, where they're seeing a large increase in interest in sales. And we know that's where couples start, right? They find a wedding venue, then they go get their attire if there's a bride involved because it takes so long. And it's promising. It means that now it should start to trickle down. But we don't know. I don't know. I wish I had a crystal ball because first of all, I would be fucking rich. My lotto numbers would be on point. I think all these psychics and shit, I'm like, listen, if you were really psychic, like, why don't you have a mansion? Why are you not rich? But listen, if I could predict the future, I would want to make the most desirable outcome. I'm just going to here to tell you, I have no idea. I have speculations, and take my speculations with a grain of salt, and also take other people's speculations with a grain of salt. What I do know is that what goes down must come back up. And I've seen it happen in my own career. I opened my business during the Great Recession. I had downs in my business. I survived, and I survived due to consistency and also just waiting things out and taking risks and trying new things. But that's a different podcast episode. What I want to talk to you today is what to do when your sales are down, how you can begin to diagnose where the problem lies. Like, what's the root of the problem? There's a lot of things we can try. There's a lot of experiments we can run, but unless we understand whether it's A or B, then our experiments and the risks we take, the investments we make may be for nothing because we don't understand the root cause of why our sales are down. Now, when I am working one-on-one with a coaching client and we're assessing the sales and assessing what's going on, I ask them a very simple question. Is this a traffic problem or a conversion problem? And this is where the strategy is. So I'm delivering it quick to you. We want to understand if your sales are they down because we're not generating enough traffic to your business, or are we not converting that traffic? Because typically when your sales are down, it's one of the two. I mean, it could be both. Then we have the problem. But it's typically one of the two. Either you're not generating enough traffic, you're not getting enough eyeballs on your business, so therefore you don't have enough people inquiring, and then those inquiries don't lead to sales, or you are not converting the people that do inquire. If we can understand which it is, then we can run strategies, experiments. We can try a thing and see how that helps to boost your traffic or boost your conversions. Let's first talk about traffic, because this is what I would say is the majority of the problem for most wedding pros is you don't have enough traffic. You want to know why? You want to know why? Because you don't market yourself consistently. You know it. You know I'm not lying. You're here today on Instagram, and then 3 weeks go by and we can't find you. We're like, hello. Where are you? What are you doing? You're not marketing yourself consistently. You are like up and down. It is one day to the next. You are here, you're there, you're not there, and it's costing you business. So typically it is a traffic problem. Think of business like this, okay? Business in sales, you have a funnel. And at the top of the funnel is all the ways that you generate traffic. Traffic meaning traffic to your website, traffic to your social media profiles, traffic to your phone, to your contact form, traffic to your inbox. And you do this through a variety of marketing techniques. You post on Instagram. You network in person and online. You go to industry events. You focus on SEO. You blog. You write articles. You get featured. And all of those different channels help to deliver traffic into your funnel. The more traffic you get, the more sales you will have. In business, we look at your conversion rates, and we can pretty much guarantee a certain amount of business based on an industry standard conversion rate. And if we turn up the volume on the traffic and get more leads, not all of them are going to be qualified, but we get more leads, then those leads will then convert into consults, and then those consults will convert into clients, and we go down the funnel. And the more we go down the funnel, the smaller the funnel becomes, and the more we lose people, but we still get clients. If we can turn up the volume on your traffic, we can likely turn up the volume on your sales. So you need to look at your business and ask, how many eyeballs are on my business? How many people are finding me? How many people are searching for me? What's going on? How many hits am I getting to my website on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, quarterly? Have my hits gone down? Are they going up? Are they going down? Have they plateaued? What's going on? Where are the people coming? On your website, on your social media, where are they located? Are they even qualified? How are my referrals? I used to get a lot of referrals from this venue. Then the venue manager changed. Now I don't get referrals. And I didn't realize it until just now. I need to do something about that. I need to turn up the volume on that traffic. What's the engagement like on your social media? Are people paying attention? Are they checked out? Are they sharing? Are they commenting? Are they liking? What's happening there? If we can increase the traffic, we can increase the sales, period. This is why running ads is so appealing, right? Because if you are converting, and this is another, just like a side note, if your website, your marketing converts organically, the theory is that if we turn up the volume on the traffic with ads, we'll turn up the volume on your sales. If it's not converting organically, then you're running ads to a website that people are going to bounce off from, and we don't want that. But that's just a side note, and I don't want to get in the weeds. Back to traffic. If we can turn up the traffic volume, we can turn up the sales. Increase traffic, increase sales. So you need to consider, if you have a traffic problem, do the research, and then start finding ways to increase your traffic. Maybe getting consistent with marketing is one. If you feel like you've been inconsistent, one of the biggest questions I ask is like, well, have you marketed that recently? Like, have you talked about it? Have you shared on social media? Have you written a blog post? Have you emailed a colleague and said, hey, I got this new service. Hey, I got this product. If you're not selling albums, have you reached out to your previous clients and said, hey, would you like to buy a fucking album of your wedding? If the answer is no, then the simplest way to get the results you desire is to get consistent in talking about it and to just talk about it in the first place. You need to find unique ways to increase your traffic. I believe in the holy trinity of marketing, relationships, social media, and SEO. It works for wedding pros. If you want to throw ads in there, be my guest. But I would first try to increase the volume organically and make sure that you don't also have a conversion problem, which we're going to talk about next, before you throw ads at anything. Because what you're doing then is you're throwing ads at something and you're inviting people to you who are cold. Leads have temperatures, right? And we look at leads from a varying standpoint of temperature. A hot lead is someone who knows you, likes you, and trusts you. A cold lead is somebody who doesn't know you. They're just being introduced to you. Now, we can convert a hot lead much easier than a cold lead because a cold lead has to go through that know, like, trust factor. They have to know you, then they have to like you, then you have to gain their trust. They have to trust you before they buy from you. Ads send cold traffic mostly, depending on how you target them. They send cold traffic to you. And cold traffic is very hard to convert to begin with. If your website, your marketing, your content, your approach isn't converting hot traffic or warm traffic, it's definitely not going to convert cold. So you don't want to run ads until you know you don't have a conversion problem. Okay. That's what I will say with absolute authority. You don't want to run ads until you know that you can convert on a warm audience, on a hot audience, on an organic lead. A person who was referred to you by a past client, a person who was referred to you by a vendor who is like the bomb, a person who's been following you forever on social media. That is warm and hot traffic. If you can't convert that, ads are only going to cost you a wubba-ton of money and leave you worse off than when we started this conversation. So we've looked at traffic. Now let's look at conversion. Maybe your traffic is good. Maybe it's actually been growing. You've been blogging, SEO, you've been doing the holy trinity. You're out here, you're kicking ass when marketing, you're consistent, but that is not converting. A conversion problem is when you have the traffic, but you can't sell. People are not buying. They're finding you, but for some reason, they're not converting. They're not converting into a lead. They're not filling out your contact form, or they're even going that step. And then they're connecting with you and they're ghosting you, maybe even going on the consultation. They're going in another direction. They're not converting. But conversion really does happen on your website. In front of me is your details. Do I engage or do I disengage? Talking about sales process of consultation, email back and forth, separate episode, bigger topic, even more nuanced. I should be coaching you one-on-one for that. There's so many things that go into it. So what I want to focus on is conversion at the engage or disengage portion of, do I contact this vendor? Do I connect with them? Because if you are getting the traffic, but the people then aren't emailing you, calling you, filling out your contact form, you're not converting that traffic and you have a problem. And you have to ask yourself, what about my branding is turning people off? What about it is not connecting? What about what I'm saying? What about what it looks like? The images of my work, what is not connecting? Am I getting people from the wrong channel? Is the traffic qualified? Like, you need to start digging around and asking questions. But what about your branding is turning people off? Because the wedding industry is a visual industry. Okay. Our eye is buying, and you might be doing something that's repelling people. They're looking at your website and they're like, fuck this. No thanks. Is your website dated? Is your work dated? Is it messy? Did you design it yourself and you didn't know what the hell you were doing and it looks like it? What about your branding is turning people off? What about your website is making them bounce? Is it not user-friendly? Is there too many words? Are you writing everything in all caps? These are things I see when I critique websites. I'm like, oh my God, is the space between your letters too much? All my WPI ladies, they know all these, this is like the greatest hits of like, I need you to center this. I need you to uncenter this when I'm reviewing their websites. But no, seriously, the presentation of your products and services matter. If you make it difficult for people to read, they will not read it. And you're already up against a challenge because people don't read, they skim. So what about your website is turning people off? What about it is making them bounce? Why are people not contacting you? Is it that they can't find out how? Are you making it too difficult? Are you not showing the value in what you do, the personality in what you do? Are you not communicating the service you provide, the product? Like, what is not connecting? What about your marketing isn't connecting? Is it living in that sea of sameness we talked about in the last episode with AI? Does it feel too generic? Does it look like yesterday's marketing technique? Is it ugly? I mean, those are questions we have to ask. Some of y'all are here with some brand colors that I have to be honest, they're fucking ugly. For a wedding pro, my brand would be way too much, I think, for a wedding pro. It's too colorful. I got neon yellow and all these crazy colors. Probably not great for a wedding pro, great for what I do now. But some of y'all are here using some crazy colors, or your business is just blending in with every other blush and gold and white and millennial gray. What about your marketing is not connecting? And if you're getting them in your inbox, so we're going to go one step further. If they are connecting with you in the like phone call, email, contact form, where are you going wrong in the sales process? Because this is sort of like there's something that's going wrong here. You are either not showing the value, and that's such an open-ended kind of bullshit response. I'm sorry. You're not showing the value. You hear people say this all the time, but then they don't tell you how to show the value. They don't show you how to communicate the value. And to their credit, it is difficult to like give a generic answer to everybody about how to show value, but showing value is communicating what it is that you do in a clear and concise way that shows people the transformation that you provide. That's showing value. You're not giving them a checklist or a big bullet point list of all the shit you do. Instead, you're telling them what life is going to be like after you do it for them, because that's what they're buying. That's the value that they're buying. So what in the sales process are you not doing? Is your price too hot? Does your pricing not make sense? Because that's a big thing I see. I see pricing that makes zero fucking sense. The big package is like only a couple $100 more than the little package. It doesn't make any sense. It's confusing. I don't know how to compare it. It's hard to understand. It's not formatted nicely. Are you not communicating quickly enough? Are you sitting on your hands for 5-6 days before you get back to a lead? Because when a lead is hot, they convert. And there's a saying that the person who gets back the soonest, the quickest, is usually the person who books the business. And it rings true. I mean, you could think about that in your own life, right? In your own buying experience. Maybe you recently had work done on your home, or maybe you recently looked at an educator, or you looked at a program, or you looked at a service for your business and you wanted to hire somebody. The person who got back to you the quickest probably earned your business. They may have not even been your first choice. Maybe you were holding out for like a big name or like somebody who you thought was going to be great. And in actuality, they fucking sucked. So what about what's happening if you get them in your inbox, are you doing or are you not doing that's forcing them not to convert? Now, I recorded an episode on why people ghost. I can't remember the number, so you'll have to do a little search, a little scroll. But I talked about the common reasons why people ghost. And listen, the common reason why people ghost you is they can't afford you. You know, your pricing is too hot, or they don't understand the services that you offer. Go and revisit that episode, because it's going to help you in the conversion situation of this problem. This is how you begin to diagnose what is going on with your sales. You ask yourself, do I have a traffic problem or do I have a conversion problem? You might have both. And so we would start at making sure that we are converting the traffic that you are getting, and then we would supercharge the traffic. Back to my point about running ads to a website that's converting. If your website's not converting, you want to make sure that you fix the problems and then turn up the volume on the traffic. But it's typically one of the two here. When I'm coaching and mentoring and digging into sales, it's typically one of the two. And if you can remedy one, you will notice a difference in your sales pretty immediately. Even you will notice a difference in your sales. So I ask you, which do you think you're suffering from if you're not converting? Or is it just chalking it up to the retraction in the wedding industry and just across the board, it's just quieter for you, and maybe that's the case. But this strategy you can use in good and bad times. In times where, maybe circumstances beyond your control, like an economy or a retraction, and then circumstances within your control where the industry is gangbusters, people are seeing great success, big leads, lots of conversion, and you're over here like, what about me? This is where I want you. I want you to come back to this strategy and ask yourself, do I have a traffic problem or do I have a conversion problem? I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. P.S. I love hearing from you guys. I love knowing that you listened to this episode. I love knowing what your thoughts are, even if they disagree with mine. I love hearing from you. I just love knowing that the content I'm creating is helping someone. So never, ever, ever hesitate to hit reply to an email that I send you, or to just maybe start an email with me, or DM me, or connect with me in some way. It feeds my soul to hear from you and to know that you're listening and to know that I'm helping you. So please, I'm asking you, call me. I want to hear from you. All right, friend. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of this show. I want to remind you, as always, there's so much power in your purpose. I'll see you next time.